Respect is one of the most misunderstood forces in relationships. Yet it is one of the strongest emotional needs a man has. Many people believe love alone is enough to hold a man, but love without respect slowly drains him. A man can feel attraction, passion, and even affection, but if he does not feel respected, something inside him shuts down over time. Respect is not about fear, control, or submission. It is about how a woman sees a man, speaks to him, treats his efforts, and protects his dignity in private and in public. From a young age, a man is taught that his value is tied to what he can do, provide, fix, or protect. Society praises men for strength, achievement, and resilience, but rarely asks how they feel. Because of this, a man grows up measuring himself by results. When he enters a relationship, he doesn't stop being that man. He is still asking himself quietly, am I enough? Am I doing enough? Am I valued here? Respect answers those questions without words. When a woman respects a man, she affirms his worth in a way that reaches deeper than compliments or affection ever could. Respect shows up first in how you speak to a man. Tone matters more than many people realize. You can say the same sentence with respect and build a man up, or say it with contempt and tear him down. A man listens not just to your words, but to what your tone implies about how you see him. When you speak to him as if he is capable, intelligent, and trying his best, his spirit responds. When you speak to him as if he is incompetent, careless, or beneath you, even if you love him, his heart slowly pulls away. A respected man feels safe expressing himself. He knows that when he talks, he won't be mocked, dismissed, or made to feel small. Many men stop opening up, not because they don't have feelings, but because at some point those feelings were used against them. Respect means you handle his vulnerabilities with care. If he shares a fear, a weakness, or a past failure, you don't. Throw it back in his face during an argument. The moment a man feels his honesty has become a weapon against him, he learns to stay silent. Silence creates distance, and distance erodes love. Respect also means acknowledging effort, not just results. Men often feel invisible when only their mistakes are noticed and their efforts go unrecognized. A man may not always succeed, but if he feels that you see him trying, striving, and improving, he feels valued. Saying, I see how hard you're working, or appreciate you trying, speaks directly to his sense of worth. That kind of recognition doesn't inflate his ego, it strengthens his commitment. Public respect matters deeply to a man. How you treat him in front of others can either anchor his loyalty or slowly weaken it. Correcting him harshly, joking at his expense, or undermining him publicly may seem small in the moment, but to a man, it feels like a public stripping of dignity. A man wants to feel that his partner is his safe place, not another arena where he has to defend himself. When he knows you protect his image and stand by him, his emotional attachment deepens. Respect does not mean you never disagree. It means you disagree without destroying. Conflict handled with respect can actually strengthen a relationship. Conflict handled with disrespect leaves scars. Yelling, insults, name-calling, and comparisons tell a man that in moments of tension, his value is conditional. A man who feels respected even during disagreement learns that love in the relationship is stable, not fragile. That stability builds trust, and trust is the foundation of deep love. A man's pride is often misunderstood. Pride is not arrogance. It is identity. When a woman respects a man's pride, she respects his identity. That doesn't mean feeding his ego or pretending he's perfect. It means allowing him to feel like a man in the relationship, letting him contribute, let in areas where he is strong, and feel useful, fulfill something deeply rooted in him. When a man feels useful and respected, he bonds emotionally in a powerful way. Respect also shows in patience. Growth takes time, and men often feel pressure to have everything figured out. When a woman shows patience with his process, without constant criticism or comparison to a man, she creates emotional safety. A man who feels he can grow without being shamed will work harder, not less. Respect fuels improvement. Disrespect breeds resentment. Another important aspect of respect is how a woman handles boundaries. Respecting a man's time, responsibilities, and personal space communicates trust. Constant suspicion, control, or interrogation signals a lack of respect, even if it comes from insecurity or fear. A man who feels trusted feels empowered. A man who feels constantly monitored feels diminished. Empowerment draws a man closer. Diminishment pushes him away. Respect is also deeply connected to appreciation. Appreciation is respect expressed emotionally. When you appreciate a man, you are saying, "Your presence in my life matters." Men thrive on that acknowledgement. They don't always need praise for everything, but they need to know they are not taken for granted. A man who feels appreciated will naturally want to give more of himself because his efforts feel meaningful. One of the most powerful ways respect touches a man's soul is consistency. Respect that only shows up when things are good feels conditional. Consistent respect, even during stress, disappointment, or disagreement, tells a man that your regard for him is stable. That stability creates emotional security, and emotional security is where love deepens into devotion. A man who feels respected begins to associate peace with your presence. He feels calmer around you. He feels understood. He feels less defensive and more open. That emotional state is rare for many men, and when they find it, they protect it. Love grows not just because of attraction, but because being with you feels emotionally grounding. Respect also means believing in a man, sometimes before he fully believes in himself. When you express confidence in his abilities and vision, you speak to his potential. Men often carry dreams quietly, unsure if anyone truly believes in them. When a woman respects those dreams, instead of dismissing them, she becomes emotionally significant in his life. He remembers who believed in him when things were uncertain. When respect is present, a man doesn't feel the need to compete with you or defend his masculinity. He feels accepted. That acceptance allows him to love freely instead of cautiously. Love that is cautious is shallow. Love that is safe becomes deep. Over time, respect transforms attraction into attachment. It transforms affection into loyalty. A man may fall in love with how you look, how you make him feel, or how you connect. But he stays in love because of how you treat his soul. Respect tells him that with you, he is not just loved, he is valued. When a woman understands the power of respect, she stops trying to control love and starts nurturing it. She realizes that touching a man's soul is not about manipulation or strategy, but about sincere regard for who he is. A man who feels respected does not feel trapped, he feels chosen. And when a man feels chosen for who he is, not just what he provides, his love becomes deep, steady, and enduring. Respect is quiet, but it is powerful. It does not demand attention, but it commands loyalty. It does not shout, but it echoes in a man's heart long after words are spoken. When respect is present, love is no longer fragile. It becomes rooted. And a man whose roots are strong does not easily walk away. Emotional safety is one of the deepest, most powerful experiences a man can have in a relationship, yet it is one of the least talked about. Many people assume men do not need emotional security the way women do, but that belief is far from the truth. Men crave emotional safety just as much, if not more, because the world rarely offers it to them. A man spends most of his life feeling evaluated, measured, and judged. He is judged by his success, his income, his strength, his decisions, and his ability to stay composed under pressure. By the time he enters a relationship, he has already learned to guard himself. Emotional safety begins when a man feels he can be himself without being punished for it. This does not mean he wants to be careless or irresponsible. It means he wants to know that his honest thoughts, fears, and imperfections will not make him lose your respect or affection. When a man senses that love is conditional on always being strong, confident, or flawless, he stays emotionally armored. He may be present physically, but his heart remains partially closed. A man opens emotionally when he feels accepted, not managed. When he senses that every emotion he expresses will be corrected, minimized, or analyzed, he learns to keep those emotions inside. Many men stop talking not because they have nothing to say, but because past experiences taught them that speaking only led to conflict or criticism. Emotional safety tells him that sharing is welcome, not dangerous. Listening plays a major role in this. Emotional safety is built when a woman listens without immediately interrupting, correcting, or turning the conversation back to herself. A man feels safe when he knows he can finish a thought without being rushed. He feels safe when his feelings are acknowledged instead of debated. He does not need you to agree with everything he feels, but he needs to know that his emotions are valid enough to be heard. Judgment is one of the fastest ways to destroy emotional safety. When a man senses judgment, he retreats. Judgment can be subtle. It can show up as sarcasm, eye-rolling, dismissive comments, or comparisons to other men. Even well-meaning advice can feel like judgment if it comes before understanding. Emotional safety requires curiosity instead of criticism. When you ask questions to understand and rather than to correct, a man feels respected at an emotional level. Trust is another pillar of emotional safety. A man feels safe when he knows he is trusted unless he gives a reason not to be. Constant suspicion, accusations, or testing communicates that he is already guilty in your eyes. Even if he stays, his emotional openness fades. Trust tells him that he does not have to constantly prove himself. That relief allows him to relax emotionally, and relaxed men bond deeply. Consistency matters more than intensity. Emotional safety is not created through grand gestures or deep talks alone. It is created through consistent emotional behavior. A man watches how you react when he is stressed, when he is tired, when he is disappointed, or when he makes a mistake. If your reactions are unpredictable, his nervous system stays alert. If your responses are steady and fair, his nervous system calms. That calm becomes associated with you. A man also feels emotionally safe when conflict does not threaten the relationship. When disagreements are treated as moments to resolve rather than battles to win, trust deepens. Many men fear emotional conversations because they feel like those conversations might spiral into rejection, withdrawal, or emotional punishment. Emotional safety means arguments do not come with threats, silence, or emotional distance as leverage. It means problems can exist without love being withdrawn. One of the deepest fears many men carry is the fear of being inadequate. They may not say it, but it sits beneath the surface. Emotional safety allows a man to admit when he feels unsure or overwhelmed without feeling emasculated. When a woman responds to that honesty with reassurance instead of disappointment, something powerful happens. He learns that vulnerability does not cost him love. That lesson changes how deeply he can connect. Emotional safety also grows when a man's emotions are not dismissed simply because he is a man. Phrases like "you're overreacting," "it's not that serious," or "just get over it" shut emotional doors quickly. Men already struggle to express emotions. Dismissal confirms their fear that opening up was a mistake. Validation, even when you don't fully understand his reaction, tells him that his inner world matters. Another important element is emotional privacy. When a man shares something personal, he needs to know it will not be shared casually with others. Emotional safety collapses when private struggles become public stories. Confidentiality builds trust. Trust builds emotional closeness. Emotional closeness builds love that is deep and enduring. A man also feels safe when he is not constantly compared to other men. Comparisons attack identity. Even if men is motivation, comparisons signal that he is being measured against someone else's standard. Emotional safety grows when a man feels chosen for who he is, not tolerated while being compared to who he is not. Patience is a quiet form of emotional safety. Men often process emotions differently and sometimes more slowly. When a woman gives him space to process without pressure, he feels respected. Pressure to open up before he is ready creates resistance. Invitation creates openness. Emotional safety understands the difference. When emotional safety exists, a man becomes more expressive over time, not less. He starts sharing thoughts he never shared before. He initiates deeper conversation. He seeks emotional closeness instead of avoiding it. This is not because he changed, but because the environment changed. Love grows where safety exists. A man who feels emotionally safe begins to attach deeply because his guard lowers. He stops preparing for emotional defense and starts investing emotionally. The investment creates bonding. Emotional safety turns affection into attachment because the heart is no longer on alert. Over time, a man associates emotional peace with you. He feels calmer in your presence. He feels understood. He feels accepted. That emotional state becomes irreplaceable. Attraction may bring him close, but emotional safety makes him stay. Emotional safety also affects commitment. A man is far more likely to commit when he feels emotionally secure. Commitment does not feel like a trap when emotional safety is present. It feels like home, a place where he can rest emotionally instead of performing constantly. A man who feels emotionally safe does not feel the need to emotionally withdraw or seek validation elsewhere. His needs are being met at a soul level. He feels seen, heard, and valued. That fulfillment strengthens loyalty. Emotional safety does not mean the relationship is perfect or conflict-free. It means imperfections are handled with care. It means emotions are not punished. It means honesty is welcomed, not feared. When a woman creates emotional safety, she touches a man's soul in a way few ever do. She becomes the one place where he does not feel judged, pressured, or measured. That experience changes how deeply he loves. A man can walk away from attraction. He can survive without passion. But walking away from emotional safety feels like losing peace. And a man who finds peace in a woman does not let go easily. Emotional safety builds slowly, but once it is established, it creates bonds that are difficult to break. It becomes the emotional foundation on which deep love is built. A man who feels emotionally safe does not just love with his heart. He commits with his whole being. Appreciation is one of the most powerful yet overlooked forces in creating deep, lasting love. Many women think that love is enough to keep a man devoted, but love without appreciation can wither over time. A man can be attracted to a woman, infatuated even, but if he feels unnoticed, undervalued, or taken for granted, his emotional investment begins to shrink. Appreciation touches a man's soul in ways that no physical intimacy, gifts, or verbal affirmations alone can. It is not about flattery or empty compliments. True appreciation is the acknowledgement of a man's efforts, his sacrifices, his intentions, and his presence in a way that resonates deeply within him. It tells him that he matters, not just for what he can do, but for who he is. Men are wired to feel valued when their efforts are recognized. They may not always openly express it, but every action, whether it's working hard, providing for the family, take care of responsibilities, or simply being present emotionally, carries an expectation that it will be noticed. When a man gives his time, energy, or resources and sees that it is overlooked or dismissed, he begins to question whether he is truly significant in the relationship. Appreciation, on the other hand, communicates acknowledgement and reinforces his sense of purpose. It is a quiet, profound way to say, I see you. I notice you. You make a difference in my life. When a man hears or feels that, it touches his soul deeply and makes him want to give more willingly and lovingly. Appreciation is not about praising a man for the big, obvious things only. It is also about noticing the small, everyday efforts that may go unseen. When he does something as simple as fixing a problem, helping with chores, or making a small sacrifice, acknowledging it can have a monumental impact on how he feels emotionally connected. For example, saying, thank you for taking care of that. Or I noticed how much effort you put in today, and I appreciate it communicates more than gratitude. It communicates understanding. A man who feels understood at this level experiences a deep emotional resonance because he feels truly seen. He understands that his presence, his work, and his energy are meaningful to you, and that validation fulfills an internal need that is often ignored. Consistency in appreciation matters even more than intensity. Occasional grand gestures of gratitude are wonderful, but consistent. Acknowledgement creates a foundation of security and emotional intimacy. A man needs to know that his efforts will be recognized day after day, not just during milestones or dramatic moments. When appreciation becomes part of the rhythm of a relationship, it communicates reliability and emotional awareness. A man who experiences consistent appreciation begins to see the relationship as a space where his contributions are valued. That reliability fosters deeper attachment and loyalty because he knows that no matter the circumstances, he is not overlooked or taken for granted. Appreciation also reinforces a man's sense of identity. Men often derive self-esteem and pride from their ability to contribute, provide, or protect. When those contributions are acknowledged, it validates his sense of purpose and reinforces his role in the relationship in a positive way. He begins to see himself as capable, competent, and effective, and that sense of self-worth strengthens his emotional investment. Conversely, when his efforts are ignored or criticized, it chips away at his confidence, leaving him feeling unappreciated and disconnected. Appreciation acts as an emotional amplifier. It magnifies positive feelings and solidifies love in a way that superficial expressions of affection cannot. It is important to note that appreciation is not conditional on perfection or results alone. A man does not need to achieve monumental success for his efforts to be appreciated. What matters is the intention, effort, and care he puts into the relationship, his work, and his actions. Even when things do not go as planned, acknowledging his attempt communicates that his efforts are seen and valued. When a man is appreciated for his genuine attempts, even if imperfect, it allows him to remain emotionally invested and motivated to continue contributing to the relationship. It tells him that love and connection are not fragile or transactional, but rooted in recognition of who he is and what he brings to the union. Appreciation goes beyond verbal acknowledgement. It is also expressed through actions. Small gestures that communicate respect and recognition can speak volumes. Paying attention to his needs, remembering details he has shared, celebrating his accomplishments, and showing interest in his passions all communicate appreciation in a tangible way. These actions demonstrate that you value his presence and contributions without waiting for a special occasion. A man who experiences this form of active appreciation feels nurtured and emotionally supported, which deepens his attachment and devotion. Public acknowledgement is another dimension of appreciation that matters significantly to men. When a woman expresses admiration, gratitude, or pride in her partner in front of others, it communicates that she is proud to be with him and respects him not just privately, but publicly as well. Men often carry a desire to feel esteemed by their peers and loved ones, and public acknowledgement reassures him that his efforts are visible and honored. It reinforces the emotional connection between the couple and strengthens his sense of commitment because he feels admired and respected on multiple levels. Appreciation is also deeply tied to emotional intimacy. When a man feels appreciated, he feels safer to share more of himself emotionally. Appreciation communicates that his feelings, thoughts, and actions have significance in the relationship. This acknowledgement fosters trust and openness, allowing him to be more vulnerable, authentic, and connected. Men are not always encouraged to express vulnerability, but consistent appreciation provides a safe emotional container where he can do so without fear of judgment. The deeper the appreciation, the more he feels safe to open his heart, and the deeper his love grows. The act of appreciating a man also encourages a positive feedback loop in the relationship. When a man feels appreciated, he naturally desires to give more love, more effort, more attention. Appreciation acts as a motivator, not in a manipulative sense, but as an affirmation that his presence and actions matter. It fosters mutual respect and emotional investment, creating a cycle where both partners feel valued and loved. A man who feels genuinely appreciated is not only more likely to remain committed, but he is also more likely to engage in acts that further strengthen the bond. Furthermore, appreciation allows a woman to touch the deeper layers of a man's heart that go beyond superficial needs. Men may be drawn to physical attraction, fun, or shared interests initially, but the soul is touched when he feels consistently recognized and valued for who he is. This emotional resonance creates a profound sense of belonging. A man who feels that his essence, efforts, and intentions are honored experiences a depth of connection that transcends ordinary affection. Appreciation becomes a language that speaks directly to his heart, fostering loyalty, attachment, and love that is deep and enduring. It is also important to recognize that appreciation requires attentiveness. It is about noticing the things a man does that might otherwise go unseen. Men often express love and commitment in ways that are practical rather than overtly romantic. And these acts can easily be overlooked if one is not paying attention. By observing and acknowledging these efforts, a woman communicates that she is emotionally present, aware, and engaged in the relationship. This level of attentiveness strengthens emotional intimacy and demonstrates that the relationship is valued at a profound level. Finally, appreciation transforms the way a man experiences love. When a man feels truly appreciated, love is no longer something he simply receives. It becomes something he experiences as affirmation of his worth. Appreciation creates an emotional environment where he feels respected, seen, and motivated to invest in the relationship fully. It touches a man's soul in a way that fosters devotion, encourages vulnerability, and deepens emotional attachment. In essence, appreciation is the bridge between affection and deep, lasting love. It is the quiet, consistent force that turns attraction into commitment, admiration into loyalty, and love into a profound connection that withstands the challenges of time. A man who feels consistently appreciated does not merely stay, he chooses to stay. He does not merely love, he invests. He does not merely participate in the relationship, he becomes emotionally present in ways that few other experiences can evoke. Appreciation is not a superficial nicety, is the heartbeat of lasting love, the silent force that touches a man's soul, and the reason he falls deeply, enduringly, and irrevocably in love. Peace is one of the most overlooked yet most powerful elements in a relationship, especially when it comes to touching a man's soul and inspiring deep, lasting love. Many women think that passion, excitement, or even intense emotional connection alone are enough to keep a man devoted, but without peace, those elements can easily turn into stress, tension, or frustration. Men carry pressures from work, family responsibilities, societal expectations, and personal ambitions that are often invisible. They live in a world where they are constantly expected to perform, succeed, and appear strong no matter what they feel inside. When a man comes home to a relationship that is chaotic, critical, or unpredictable, it adds to the burdens he is already carrying. Peace in a relationship is like a sanctuary for him. It is a space where he can lower his defenses, exhale emotionally, and be himself without fear of judgment or conflict. A woman who brings peace into a man's life touches his soul in a way that few other things can, because she provides the emotional stability and safety that his heart craves. Peace is created in both small and consistent ways. It is reflected in how disagreements are handled. Men often fear arguments because they feel emotionally unsafe, judged, or attacked during conflicts. When a woman approaches disagreements with calmness, fairness, and a focus on resolution rather than winning, it communicates respect and emotional maturity. This kind of behavior allows a man to feel heard without feeling cornered. He can express his thoughts, feelings, and concerns without worrying that they will be used against him later or that they will lead to unnecessary drama. Conflict handled with peace rather than chaos becomes an opportunity to strengthen connection instead of a reason to withdraw. A peaceful relationship environment also involves emotional regulation. Women who manage their emotions thoughtfully, even in difficult situations, create a sense of stability that a man instinctively recognizes and values. Men are highly sensitive to emotional turbulence, even if they do not always express it verbally. When a partner exhibits uncontrolled anger, constant negativity, or frequent emotional extremes, it triggers stress in a man's nervous system and often causes him to shut down emotionally. Conversely, when a woman approaches situations with calmness, patience, and understanding, it signals to him that he can remain open and present without fear of being emotionally attacked. That sense of peace becomes deeply attractive because it allows him to rest emotionally in her presence. Peace in a relationship also shows up in the way a woman communicates. Calm, respectful, and thoughtful communication communicates stability and emotional intelligence. A man feels safe when he knows that his partner can express needs, desires, and even frustrations without resorting to manipulation, yelling, or disrespect. Words have power, and when used constructively, they create an environment where he feels secure and valued. He begins to associate the presence of his partner with emotional comfort, not tension. Over time, this consistent experience of peace fosters deep emotional attachment because he trusts that he can show up authentically without fear of triggering chaos or instability. Another crucial aspect of peace is predictability and consistency in behavior. Men do not need a relationship that is boring, but they do need a relationship where reactions are reliable. Emotional whiplash, unpredictability, or frequent changes in mood or response create stress, uncertainty, and anxiety. When a woman is consistent in her behavior, meaning she reacts reasonably, communicates clearly, and handles issues with thoughtfulness, it provides a psychological safe zone. The man does not have to constantly guess what will upset her or worry that a small mistake will lead to disproportionate consequences. That sense of safety allows him to relax emotionally, open up, and invest more fully in the relationship. Peace is also about reducing unnecessary drama and cultivating calm in daily life. Men are often drained by work pressures and external expectations, and a partner who adds chaos only compounds that stress. When a woman consciously avoids unnecessary conflicts, gossip, or criticism, and instead brings understanding, compromise, and calm energy, she creates a relationship environment where he feels rejuvenated rather than depleted. Emotional peace is a magnet for men because it restores their capacity to love, care, and invest without feeling constantly attacked or overwhelmed. Respecting a man's boundaries is another dimension of peace. When a woman understands and honors his personal space, time, and responsibilities, she signals that she trusts him and values his individuality. Overstepping boundaries, whether by being overly controlling, intrusive, or critical, disrupts peace and creates emotional tension. A man who experiences respect for his boundaries feels empowered and safe, which deepens attachment. Peace is not passive. It is an active practice of understanding, patience, and consideration that allows the man to feel secure, appreciated, and emotionally connected. Peace also involves managing expectations and avoiding unnecessary pressure. Men feel deeply attracted to women who do not demand perfection, constant reassurance, or overextension of their energy. A woman who communicates her needs clearly, allows room for mistakes, and avoids constant criticism or emotional manipulation fosters a sense of calm that touches his soul. This peace encourages a man to show up fully, knowing that he will not be punished or judged harshly for being human. Emotional calm does not mean avoiding all challenges. It means approaching them in ways that preserve connection and mutual respect. Consistency in creating peace also allows a man to associate a woman with emotional stability, which is profoundly attractive. Men crave a safe haven where they can recharge and be themselves without masks. When a woman consistently provides that sanctuary, he begins to rely on her, not just as a partner, but as the emotional anchor in his life. Over time, this creates a bond that goes beyond physical attraction or initial infatuation. He becomes emotionally invested because he experiences her presence as restorative, comforting, and deeply meaningful. Peace also impacts intimacy and emotional vulnerability. Men often struggle to express emotions because the world has conditioned them to appear strong and in control at all times. When they find a woman who brings calmness, understanding, and non-judgmental support, it creates a space where they feel safe to lower their guard. Emotional vulnerability leads to deeper connection, and the woman who cultivates peace allows this vulnerability to flourish. A man who can open his heart freely without fear of chaos is more likely to commit, love deeply, and remain devoted over time. A peaceful relationship also promotes mutual respect and understanding. When both partners prioritize calm communication, patience, and empathy, it strengthens trust and cooperation. Men are drawn to women who do not exacerbate conflict or create unnecessary tension, but instead focus on solutions and shared goals. That approach fosters an environment where love can grow steadily and sustainably. Peace is attractive because it provides emotional clarity, allowing both partners to focus on connection, growth, and intimacy rather than defensiveness and tension. Moreover, peace nurtures emotional resilience in a man. Life is unpredictable, and men face pressures and challenges that they cannot always control. When a woman consistently provides emotional calm, he learns to associate her presence with stability and reassurance. That emotional anchor allows him to navigate life's challenges with greater confidence and less stress, deepening his respect, gratitude, and love for her. Peace, in this sense, is not a passive state, but an active contribution to his well-being, which strengthens the bond and fosters enduring attachment. A man's soul responds profoundly to a woman who embodies peace because it touches his most basic emotional need, the need for stability, trust, and comfort. He experiences her presence as a reprieve from the pressures of life, a place where he can be fully himself without fear of criticism, chaos, or emotional turbulence. That sense of security creates an emotional depth that is rare and precious. Men may forget words, overlook gestures, or even drift from physical attraction. But the memory of emotional peace lingers. It becomes the foundation of loyalty, attachment, and enduring love. Peace also allows a man to develop trust in the relationship over time. When he knows that disagreements will not escalate unnecessarily, that communication will remain respectful, and that his emotions will not be weaponized against him. He begins to feel secure. Trust combined with peace enables him to invest emotionally without fear, to open up without hesitation, and to commit fully without reservation. It strengthens the relationship in ways that passion or infatuation alone cannot achieve. Finally, a woman who brings peace to a man's life touches him at a profound level because she creates an environment where his heart can rest, his mind can relax, and his spirit can thrive. Peace does not diminish excitement or passion. It enhances them by providing a stable foundation upon which love can grow. A man who experiences consistent peace, understanding, and emotional support is more likely to fall deeply, irrevocably, and enduringly in love. Peace becomes not just a desirable quality, but a transformative force that turns affection into devotion, attraction into commitment, and a relationship into a sanctuary for the heart and soul. When a man experiences peace in a relationship, he does not merely stay out of habit or convenience. He chooses to stay because he has found something rare and invaluable. He invests more deeply because he feels secure, emotionally supported, and understood. The presence of peace nurtures attachment, loyalty, and profound love. A woman who embodies this peace becomes irreplaceable, not because of external appearances or material contributions, but because she has touched the deepest parts of his soul, providing a foundation for love that is steady, resilient, and everlasting.